We're now at the second last level in the wealth spectrum, which is the violet level. And we are right into the alchemy prism now. And there's a very good chance that the majority of people who are watching this are not at that level, but are just curious to know more about it. So I'm going to kind of talk about the overall impact that this level has on the entire spectrum. We are now at a level of composer where money is not the object. In fact, money is something that can get created just like everything else can get created at the composition level. You can create whatever you like. And every currency system in the world was created at this level, which is when someone says, I'm going to try a whole new way of making things happen, and off they go and they do that. Revolutions take place, and now you suddenly got an entirely new government, and they come up with entirely new rules. That's all a level of composition. When someone creates an entirely new market and says, right now we're going to do things very, very differently, then that's at composition level. Now, the only people who can do that is someone who stepped right into a space which is well beyond the trust that they had, which is at the indigo level within the market itself, and now has actually allowed people to say, we're willing to go for new composition. A great example of this, let's take someone like Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. So Lee Kuan Yew is a great example of a composer in that every day he's thinking 50 years ahead. Every day he's thinking, okay, so what are we doing today which is going to make a difference to this entire country of Singapore? And as a result of that, every law that gets put down, every piece of information that gets added into the tax code, everything that goes into the negotiations in terms of their treaties with other countries, all is part and parcel of the long-term view of this composition. So what's so interesting about composer level is that we're all within a composition right now. You currently are using dollars or pounds or yen within your pocket, which is the result of a composition somewhere. You're currently driving a car or flying in a plane, which is the result of a composition somewhere. You're currently getting online and getting into an entire system which connects us around the world, which again is part of that composition as well. You can almost take another example of someone who's an entrepreneur like a Richard Branson, who has chosen to step from what he was, which was blue level, where he had a brilliant ability to go from green, where he was running his one company, to blue, where he had multiple companies, and he moved right up into indigo level, where he was a trustee for his brand and what that brand stands for, which is Virgin. And he's now taken that way beyond that to the composition of intergalactic travel, where he's now got the first of the Virgin Galactic flights going up. And if you are watching this soon after I have actually videoed this, which is in 2010, then you would have heard that there's still 18 months before the first person goes up into space. But you might be watching this several years down the line, and it's already happened. This is what happens with composition. It transcends time. So how do you get there? You don't get there by just saying, I'm going to be a composer and think people are going to listen. There's this great quote, which is, a vision not shared is a fantasy, whereas a vision shared becomes reality. And it's about the fact that it's only those who not only have the vision, but have the trust within a group to be able to share it, which actually can make it a reality. I had a huge composition when I was in my early 30s, which was Worldwide Wealth. And when I started with the concept of Worldwide Wealth, which is entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs going out there and making a difference, when that started, I basically went out and just started spreading the word with the people I was meeting, and we kind of created this rhythm within Excel, which went from one country out to about 30 within about 5 years. And what's so interesting about that was that we got overtaken by a larger movement around the world. When we started, the best way to connect was through Yahoo groups. And since then, we had YouTube show up and Facebook show up and all of social media. And as a result, the composition that was getting created around creating social change was way beyond anything that we could create ourselves. So effectively, we became redundant in what we're doing. And we've had to recreate ourselves entirely in a way to fit into a new composition. So it's not good enough to say, I've got a vision, I want to make a difference. What you need to do is to have a large enough critical mass of trustees that are willing to follow along with you in order to make that change. And people were criticizing earlier this year Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, when they were saying, we're going to go out there and get other billionaires to be able to share their wealth as well. But because they already are at a level where they have the respect of trustees, they can change the composition. And they not only got many billionaires now becoming part of their movement, they've just come back from China, where they've got many of the Chinese billionaires now choosing to follow along as well. And this is a transformation that's taking place around the planet right now. And that's the most important thing, is that if you are at the point where you are at indigo level and you have chosen to get up into composer level and you're now finding yourself there, and it is a lonely place, but at the same time, whereas you have a lot of the media and a lot of critics against you in what you're aiming to do because of what you stand for, you don't spend time with them, you're spending time with the trustees and other composers, because that's where your heart sings. And that's where you know that you have got one step into the future, which is going to be for the benefit of all of us. Where do you go from here? There's only one step further to go, which is legend. Many people get to legend by dying. Many people get to legend because they were a composer where they were making that difference in the world, and someone felt strongly enough about them that they ended their life. It doesn't mean you need to die before you become a legend, but I would say that being a legend is something which actually transcends time. There are living legends today. Someone like Nelson Mandela is a legend today. What is a legend? If you think about a map, on a map, a legend is that symbol where you just know what that symbol stands for, even without seeing the writing beside it. It actually is able, because it's such an important symbol, to be part of the legend on the side of the map, outside of the map as well. And that's what happens with the legend. It's outside of the map of time. It's always there. And we'll be sharing more about that on the little video I'm going to provide on legend. But for now, I'd like to just share, for anyone who's watching this who is a composer, thank you for the work that you're doing in this world, because every one of us knows that the world of the future is going to be working on very different compositions than the ones today. But I believe with your support and those composers that are stepping up today, it's going to be music we can dance to.